What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Business Choreography Podcast. Today, we are talking about the business choreography method. Super excited to share it with you. We'll cue the theme song and then we'll jump into the episode.
Listen, there's a lot to learn when growing and scaling your business.
That's why we created the Business Choreography Podcast, where we talk about choreographing your marketing, operations, and sales into dynamic systems that increase your revenue and your impact.
We'll explore solid business principles and discuss all things that make businesses dance to success with clarity.
We'll help you figure out where the holes are in your business and what you can do to fix them. Think of us as your official business choreographers, aka your insider growth strategists.
Remember, your choreography matters. Welcome to the Business Choreography Podcast.
All right, here we go for another episode. We're excited. It's a dual episode today.
Absolutely.
So we got both Michael and Lexi on, so that will be fun. We do have other episodes that are our solo episodes and interviews, so you got to go check those out. If you're just listening to this one today and this is your first one, go and check out all of the other episodes. If you are just listening, you can go over to YouTube and check it out on YouTube, because sometimes we pull up things on the screen, and so you can go check it out on YouTube to see the actual video. Okay, so today we are talking about the business choreography method and how it can help you and your business. So many times we get people saying, well, what does business choreography do? How can you actually help me? And so we really wanted to dive into that today. And Michael Johnson here is the king of frameworks. He is so good at creating frameworks. And so we are going to jump into that today and go over the business choreography method.
Frameworks are incredible. If you don't have frameworks built out that are customized for your business, then we need to have a chat, because if you don't have them, you need them. And when you have them, they make an incredible difference.
It absolutely changed our business. When we created a framework, our sales calls changed, because all of a sudden we could pull up this map and we could pull up this framework and people went, oh, okay, so that's how you're going to help me. That's what you're going to do. And so frameworks are so powerful. I believe we have an episode all on that Michael digs into.
Absolutely.
But we're going to specifically talk about the business choreography framework today.
Yeah, we call it the business choreography method because there is a method to the choreography. And you guys should know it. And we like to be able to over-deliver anytime we can. So here you go. This is the good stuff. This is the secret sauce. This is what you need. You need choreography. And we realized this along the way. If for those of you that don't know our story and our background, we are former professional ballroom dancers, different eras, but we definitely had our time on the floor and in the limelight. As you can see, for those of you watching the video,
we've got the audience
in the background today. We thought that would be appropriate. But here's the thing. We spent a lot of years teaching and coaching and helping dancers and being choreographers. And what we realized when we really delved into the business world is that there was this gaping hole. There were a lot of people teaching great tactics or great strategies here or there. And there were a lot of businesses struggling because those things in different areas of their business weren't being choreographed together. And in so many instances, we, in our early days, got caught into that. We got sucked up into that, just like a new dancer would. A new dancer gets sucked up into the excitement of the dance, right? And they come in and the teacher choreographs a step for them and they think, wow, I'm doing a step. I'm a dancer. And now all of a sudden they're in doing that step, and then they get bored because they keep repeating the step over and over and over again. And many of you, if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, if you're a business owner, you might find yourself having run the same step over and over and over again. And it might work kind of, or it might not work 100%. But that's the step that you know. And so you keep dancing it over and over and over again in your business. And sometimes you just need an outside choreographer. And it hit us one day as we were talking about some of our experiences in the business world and comparing them to our dancing experience, that even the world champions hire a choreographer. So you could be the best business person in the world and you still need a choreographer. Those of you that don't know Magic Johnson, we just watched a
Oh my gosh,
video
this was
on Magic
incredible.
Johnson, and he's one of my heroes from when I was young. I loved watching Magic Johnson play basketball. I was a huge Lakers fan. Sorry for those of you that were not, and for all the teams out there that we beat.
Oh my gosh.
Laker
Gosh.
pride, go Lakers.
Gosh.
But the thing is that he went on to be a businessman. For those of you that don't know, he owns the Dodgers. He is an owner of many businesses, and that's one of the things that he loves to do. But when it was time for him to go and start learning about business, what he did was he went and essentially hired a bunch of mentors or choreographers along the way to help him understand how to choreograph the type and way he wanted to do business outside of his basketball days. And this is a big deal. We realized that there was this huge need for having the ability to teach business owners how to choreograph, how to get out of the dancer position. Sometimes we call it a dancing bear. We've all been there. Maybe you're there now. Maybe you're the dancing bear, and there's nothing wrong with it. If you love being the dancing bear in your business, and in some phases of your business, that's important. It's important that you do that. And in some phases, it's important to evolve out of that into the choreographer seat.
Right.
And when you do that, then at that phase, you might start thinking, gosh, I got to run this show, and you might have to evolve into the director's seat. Yeah. But when you're a director, you're still a choreographer. You're still a dancer. You still do it all, and that's the point. Today, we're going to really dig into this framework, as Lexi mentioned earlier. So I'm going to pull it up on the screen. Those of you watching on video, you'll be able to see it. If you are just listening, don't worry. I'll kind of describe it all the way through, and we will talk about some of these pieces. So here you go. Here's some of the secret sauce. Are you ready? I hope you're taking notes. If you're not taking notes, do. And if you're driving or running, well,
maybe go back and
save
listen
this
to it
for later and come back and take some podcast notes. Okay, here we go. Adding it to the screen. So we've got the business choreography method, pretty straightforward. We got 3 phases that we go through, and these 3 phases are imperative. It's imperative that you understand that we have to go through and prepare. We have to prepare before. As a choreographer of our business, which is what we're talking to you as, right? Sometimes you have to be the choreographer inside your business, and you have to prepare for what you're going to choreograph. If you go in blindly, it's always going to turn out bad. So we're going to dig into that in a second. The second phase is to actually do the choreography, and there is a methodology to doing the choreography. And then the third phase is
we actually have to dance.
We have to
dance. We
dance.
actually have to put that out to the world, and we have to show people the choreography.
You got to do it. You got to go in and do it. So for those of you watching on the screen, of course, you can see that we have some of the steps that go into each of those phases. So let's dig into step 1. This prepare phase is huge. What we do, or what we talk about in the prepare phase, is that we've got to have, in order to create good choreography in the next phase, we've got to really understand the dancer. That means the person,
business owner,
the business owner, and the business altogether. We've got to understand the music, right? And we've got to understand the audience. Okay, now those are our metaphors, right? Because we love dance. We love the dancing metaphor, and everybody seems to get it. Why? Because dancing was one of the first forms of communication that anybody had before language, before writing, before art. People were dancing in their caves around the fire, telling stories with their bodies in ways that they couldn't communicate with language. And so dance is sort of a universal language. And that means that in your business is a dance. And you know it, and I know it. And sometimes that dance goes poorly, and your pants fall down on the stage. That's happened. That's crazy. Or you get a hole or something in your pants.
That's totally happened to me.
Yeah, it's totally happened to me. I know that.
Shoot.
Sometimes you fall down. You just got to make it look as elegant as possible. Get back up and keep dancing. So as we dig into the prepare phase, let's just talk about that just briefly. I mean, we could stay here for hours just on this phase 1, because there's
we do.
Yeah. Anytime if you were to come in and work with us, we would dig into this hugely. So what we want to do here is just give you kind of a quick overview, because we want you to be able to dig in and use this. If maybe one of these pieces is something you're missing right now. Maybe it's just a piece that you're like, just didn't think of that. We had a session with one of our mentors yesterday, and they said something, and we were like, gosh, we know that.
We just didn't even think about doing it.
Why didn't we think of that ourselves? And so having a mentor, having somebody that can guide you is super important. So in the dancer portion of it, you have to have custom choreography. We've kind of already mentioned that. That's a big deal, right? So we've got to understand what kind of custom choreography that is, right? And as a dancer, you have to have cooperative components. Well, what does that mean? We did ballroom dance. I know we said we were professional dancers, but we were ballroom dancers. So we had to have cooperative components, not only from our brain to our limbs, but from our brain and our limbs to another person's body and their brain and limbs. And we had to be able to cooperate as a team together.
Right.
And then we needed an execution strategy. This was huge. We have a nice little acronym for this. We love acronyms. Write it down. RRR stands for rehearse, refine, repeat.
Yep.
Okay. Or rehearse, repeat, refine. That's probably the better way to say it, right?
Right.
And all of those things go into the execution strategy, and we've got to really get in and define all of that stuff in the prepare phase. The prepare phase is huge. And if you've bootstrapped a company, we have, not only once, but multiple times, maybe you didn't, maybe you got into a company that was already pre-done, but you have to have this prepare stage. And in many instances, this prepare stage is huge. As a dancer, you have to learn all the core basics. You have to learn how to dance. You have to get the understanding of how to walk. I can see it still in my head when I was coaching and teaching dancers. Yeah. And the better they got, the closer we got to having to learn how to walk again. That sounds funny, right? We're here to learn how to dance. Well, as soon as we got to that phase, they had to learn how to walk. So you'd see these advanced dancers literally just walking across the floor, and it would look to an outsider like, what the heck are they doing? Why would you spend time learning to walk again? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Just walking, like just heel toe across the floor. Yeah, there's some seriously technical things about walking. Well, it's the same thing in this prepare phase, in this dancer phase. We've got to figure out anything and everything we can about you as a business. And that leads us to the next piece of that, which is we've got to create a team. And we've already kind of indicated that you need, in the long term, you're going to need an advisor, you're going to need a coach, and you're going to need executors. ACE for short, in case you didn't catch that, right? Advisor, coach, executors. ACE. Sometimes you're all of those. If you're in the beginning stages of your business, sometimes even as a choreographer, in that next phase of your business, as the choreographer, sometimes you're still all of those. Right. Sometimes you're trying to evolve to that director position we mentioned earlier. Yep. And when you're doing that, sometimes at that phase, you're still doing all of those, right? So it's about understanding your position, understanding what your responsibilities are. But it is super important to have an advisor or multiple advisors. We have numerous advisors that are on our team because we are always trying to pull the best information for you guys. And so you guys should do it too. It's a great practice. Yep. But it's also important to have coaches, not only for yourself, and coaches and advisors are different. Okay. Coaches kind of hold you to the line and they say, did you get this done? They check in with you. Did you do it? They're the people that show up every day to practice, right? But those could be your managers. Those could be the team leaders or your executives in the C-suite that are leading your group, your business. Those are your coaches of the people that are the executors. And the executors, you've got to have great executors on your team. Yeah. If you don't, you have a whole basketball team. We were talking about the Lakers earlier. And if you only have one person on your team that's great, then the rest of the team is going to be dragging that one down. And hopefully that one can pull them all there, but it's really hard to win a championship with one great person.
Right. Yeah. So we just talked about a lot of things, right, that go into that prepare phase. And, there's the dancer, there's the music, there's the audience. But to really sum it up, when we're looking at phase one, and when we're looking at doing any type of choreography on a business, whether we're going and doing it for someone or you're doing it on your business, the first thing that we have to do is we have to prepare. And the way that we prepare is through all of those things, right? Making sure that we understand the dancer and we understand the business and we understand all of the elements that go into creating this piece of choreography, because sometimes people create the wrong piece of choreography, right? They create the wrong piece of choreography because they don't understand all of the elements. They don't understand exactly who they're going after. They don't understand their offer. They don't understand all of these little things. And so phase one is all about preparing. And so it's really important that you really narrow in on those things.
We could talk about this, like we said, for hours. The music is your goals and your why. We could dig into that. We have frameworks within it. The audience is all about your plan. It's about your W's, your who, your where, your what. We could stay on those for hours. But the idea here is gathering the pieces and parts you need to prepare to choreograph is incredibly important, because if you don't do it, you're going to go in and start doing something. And a lot of people mistake movement for progress, and that is not the case. And it happens in dance and it happens in business. You've been there and we've been there too. So we're not saying we're innocent and that we haven't done it. We know because we've done it wrong. We've sometimes just moved, mistaking that for progress, and that's not great choreography. So that leads us to the next phase, which we call the choreograph phase. And specifically, we start with 3 things from the choreographic world of dance. And this is a little esoteric, right? So stay with me for a second. We'll pull it together for you. When we talk about these 3 things, think of it in terms of dance. What we need is we need to understand time, we need to understand energy, and we need to understand space. Now, as a dancer, you might be thinking time. Okay, timing for the steps. Energy. Okay, how much energy are we putting in? What kind of dynamics are we doing? Energy is space, or energy leads to space. Space is the area you're taking up, where you're doing this in front of an audience, in front of a video. How is it being delivered? What space and area is it at? Well, the way that that applies to business is really what phase 2 is all about. Timing is all about the speed in which you're going to do it. Sometimes you're thinking, oh, we want to do a summit. And last year we thought, oh man, this is a great summit idea. We really want to do it. We came up with the idea. We hashed it out on a napkin, you know, like you so often do as an entrepreneur.
And I got an idea. I got to write it out,
we went into phase 2, which is the choreograph phase. And we went, what's the timing of this? And we thought, gosh, for this to really pull off, this would have to be done in October. And we looked at our timing and it was like,
that's not quite the right thing.
August. You know, and we were like, okay, we can't do that in that amount of time. And so we pushed it off and thought, okay, that might have to be next October, you know, for us to do it. And so we had to look at the timing, and then therefore the choreography stopped there for that particular idea, because we knew we couldn't get it in that timing and in that energy that would need to be put into that. And with the space that we needed to deliver it in, it wasn't the right time. And so we had to pull out of it and say, okay, that's not the right piece of choreography for what we're doing.
So the same thing with the energy, right? You have to look at the amount of energy that you have to be able to give to that piece of choreography.
Oftentimes when we get to the energy portion of choreography, we're looking at solving your past problems. What kind of past problems did you have going on in the company that we can solve along with this piece of choreography? Because sometimes when you're creating a new piece of choreography, it's a great option to go in and fix things that have been broken, because everybody's expecting something new anyway. So it's a great time to fix some of your past problems. So we have to evaluate those and fix those. And it's a great way to get in and do that. The other thing is that we want to take into account in your choreographic process, what things that you're doing that are good already. You know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Right? That's the old grandfather saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So we have to pull in some of those things that you're doing well and make sure that we choreograph around those things, right? And then, of course, the space that we were talking about is really about how you're going to do it, how you're going to deliver it, where you're going to deliver it, the workflow of it all, and getting all the nuts and bolts and putting all of those pieces together, and hopefully not building Frankenstein, but building a beautiful clone of the thing that you're going to do, right?
I
don't know
that.
if it's a clone, but like,
I don't know.
the new version. It's not Frankenstein. Usually you have a Frankenstein and we're trying to dismantle it and put it back together again so it'll be a real boy.
Right.
Like Pinocchio? No. Okay. So that's again, we could stay here in phase 2 for ages, but maybe one of these things, and what our hope is today about sharing with you one of our secret sauces, is that maybe you'll hear one of those pieces that'll just light you up and it'll go, oh man, that was it. That's what I needed to hear today.
Right.
And then you can go and get going on it, get moving on that piece. And maybe you forgot it. Maybe you forgot that little thing in the process. And it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to choreograph yourself. And we
Right.
know that's the case. I know a lot of professionals in the ballroom world, to use this metaphor and continue it on, they would choreograph some of their own stuff to start as a skeleton. Then they'd take it to a choreographer that had outside perspective and let them fix it and put it together in the way that it needed to be done. And I think a lot of businesses are in that space. You know, you find a way to make your business work. You find a way to make money. You find a way to create this thing in the best way you can. And then you get somebody in, like choreographers like us, to come in and go, okay, let's fix some of this. Let's really make it beautiful.
Right.
Right. And a performance, because it is an art. I mean, like, you think about the art, the piece of art that Jeff Bezos has put together with Amazon. And when you stop to think about the incredible nature of the fact that you can order something and have it delivered almost same day now.
It's amazing.
It's literally incredible.
All of the things that have to go into that to make it possible for your package to arrive one day later is so crazy. From the point of you order it, now it's got to go out in a truck and it's got to get to you. That's just amazing, right?
It's phenomenal, the choreography that is put together with some of the best companies in the world. And
right.
And in every case, as we dug more and more into it, it was always because there was a great choreographer behind the scenes. And sometimes that's somebody in the business, and sometimes
right.
even the person that's a great choreographer in the business, sometimes they have to bring somebody else in because they're not married to the entire process, right?
Right.
So now what we want to do is we want to go into that third phase. Again, we could stay there forever, but the third phase is really where your money's made. This is the big deal. This is the home run right here.
Right.
And this phase we call the dancing phase, right? You know, sometimes you're just in the dance, you're in the mix, you're in the flow of things. And when you're in this phase, we have a little saying from our dancing world that works beautiful. And so we decided to start using it in the business world.
Right.
And it's rehearse, repeat, refine. Rehearse, repeat, refine.
Right.
The rehearsing piece, it seems as though as entrepreneurs, we have like, focused issues. And so we build something that works and then we're like, oh, squirrel, and we're off to something else. And that's a beast for us as entrepreneurs and creators.
Yeah.
And so the rehearse phase really lends itself to actually doing and executing the stuff that has been choreographed.
I always talk about it like you have to test things, right? You have to test things, and you have to test them again. And that's super important. And a lot of times people will create choreography and they'll put it out and they don't rehearse it, they don't repeat it, and they don't refine it. They instead will just get a new piece of choreography and get a new piece of choreography and get a new piece of choreography, instead of taking what you had and going, I need to maybe do that again, and then I need to repeat that, and then I need to refine it, right? So that's something.
This is a big deal. That refining piece that's in there is where most of the creative entrepreneur types fail, right? They fail at the fixing the stuff. So you run a launch or you run your choreography to get something done and it doesn't work 100%. And sometimes we throw it all away. Sometimes we say, okay, that didn't work. Instead of going in and actually refining what was going on. That is a big problem for so many of the owner operators out there. Yep. What do I mean by that? Well, you're an owner operator if you're still working in or on your business. That's still a thing, right?
Indeed.
Someday you'll evolve and hopefully get to that last phase. We call it the director phase, right? Where you're working outside your business, above it, right? We want to
Right.
help you guys get to that point that we wish it upon all of you.
For sure. All righty. Anything else we want to talk about with the business choreography method? You want to kind of tie it all together? I think that'd be helpful.
I think as you start to hear, hopefully this was a lot, so go back and listen to this again. As you hear each of these phases, think about where you're at and think about maybe where you've shortcutted your journey. Yeah. Because we know that you have a business out there. You're probably not listening to us if you don't have a business. So we know you have a business. We know that you've probably found a way to make some money. And if you have, the question is, what's the next level? What is the next phase? Are you in dancer mode? Or are you in choreographer mode? Are you in director mode? What phase are you in, and where are you trying to get to next? Because that next phase is going to require you to fill in the holes that you've missed. And in this business choreography methodology, each of these things that we've put in here are in there because we know that those are pieces that are oftentimes missed, and they will ultimately hold you back. If you have gotten to phase 3 and you missed something from phase 1, it will be hurting your business and it will show up eventually. And sometimes you can't see it, and that's why it's always valuable to have a choreographer come in from the outside. So go back, listen to it, write down some notes. If you guys have questions, we would love to hear them. We would love to hear what your thoughts are and what has helped you from this episode today. So please leave us some comments and let us know, because this is pretty powerful stuff. We think that it's going to make a big difference for you.
Awesome. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining the show today. And as always, if you enjoyed it, screenshot, share it, and tag us in it. We love to see that kind of stuff come up. And we will see you on the next episode of the Business Choreography Podcast. Peace out.
Bye-bye.
The choreography your business is running can determine whether you can grow and scale to the next level.
It's so easy just to take business day by day, but that can leave you putting out fires and keep you from growing.
Find out how the choreography for your marketing, operations, and sales can raise your revenue and create more impact.
Schedule a growth strategy analysis call with us today.
Go to bizchoreo.com to book your time.